Welcome to my video essay on the film Rocky, 1976, created by Sylvester Stallone and directed by John G. Avildsen. A film which won Best Picture within a budget of under $1 million, Rocky has become one of the best-known franchises spanning 7 films up to Creed 2. Within this essay, I will discuss the importance of the film's soundtrack and the way it moves the story as well enhances the film. The importance of the soundtrack would also be discussed within my scene analysis of a segment of this film, which will be seen later on. Firstly, we will look at the historical, cultural, and technological context of this film. The America of the 1970s was a culture intensely questioning itself, particularly as to how they felt their present reality was curiously unreal, as it is increasingly drifted away from traditional economic, political, gender, and moral norms, particularly those for men. The cultures that sought after authentic experiences that would reaffirm their own and their nation's sense of greatness. Therefore, Rocky is an example of Americans seeking what is genuine, manly, and true in a society perceiving itself as losing its original purpose, toughness, and authenticity. While looking at the historical and cultural context of this film, originally many critics saw it as a fairy tale of the American dream. However, 1976 was a time of political movement and greater understanding in America of the political sense. So some critics called out this film as being an important statement about the neglected American working class, while others portrayed it as a violent New Right movement film. However, one thing that can be agreed on is that Rocky was a film that caught the attention and spoke passionately to a large segment of the American society and population. Douglas Kellner said, "Films can be read as symptoms of the victimization of the working class during a time when the economic recession was driving the Rockies of the world to join their military. Seeing as Rocky is embedded with particular cultural and historical contexts of 1970s America, we can better understand the tensions, hopes, and fears of this time, therefore furthering the massive cultural appeal and significance of the character Rocky. This character's rise from inner-city bum to going 15 rounds with a boxing champ was the much-needed optimism the American population needed in such a troubled time."
You're gonna kill him!
First of all, we will look at structure. This scene shows a pivotal moment in this film, the rigorous training that Rocky is going through in the lead up to his fight. The structure of this scene can be described as its own mini 3-act structure. As it is a montage, we see at the start him slowly building up his routine, going for a slow run in the early morning. Next, we can say is when we see him inside the gym training, doing push-ups, sit-ups, etc. And the final part of this structure is when he climbs the stairs and reaches the top, ending the montage and the 3-act structure. This is important to the film as well because we know from earlier in the film that he did not have the physical fitness to run all the stairs to the top like he does now, showing us the journey he has been on and where he is now, from poor fitness to top fitness. When looking at editing, it's the use of the montage that is important. This is because it allows us to get from one point in the film to another quickly. In the sense of the film, it allows us to get to the fight, the most important part of the film quicker, but still showing the importance of the training he's doing. The montage works well as even though it's not mentioned, we can still tell there's a movement in time. This is due to the change of setting and the clothing from within the edit. Also worth a mention is the sequence starts with quite long drawn out tracking shots through the street, which then changes into short quick clips of his physical training and then finally back to the longer shots for the running. This editing allows the audience to build excitement and understanding of the events that are to follow. The sequence also ends with a slow motion effect to show Rocky's accomplishment and the feeling the character himself feels. As well as this, the edit only works with the soundtrack that was composed, which will be discussed next. The sound in this clip is the most important feature. Gotta Fly Now, composed by Bill Conti, was only made after the director told Conti he needed some music to fill this section, as we learn from this clip.
No, I can't honestly say that anyone connected with the project actually knew what was going to happen, but when you call it a song, in my particular case, it wasn't really a song. It didn't come together as a song. It began as just bits and pieces. I mean, we had a little tune for Rocky Balboa, and he was so sad, always sad. And then in the 10th reel, when John Avildsen had to cut together a montage of fight training, then he says, Bill, give me some music, maybe about 1.5 minutes, so I can cut the film to it. So I put the little fanfare that we used at the beginning, and I went into with a beat. I come back to John after 1.5 minutes.
As you now know, it was only put together after the director needing more and then some more, but it turned out to be one of the greatest songs composed in American culture. This music is important to the scene as it builds excitement, but also tension at the same time for the audience. The track starts uplifting, giving the audience the feeling of joy for Rocky, and gradually building throughout the montage to the final few shots, builds to a dramatic end on the freeze frame of Rocky's face with the lyric "Fly" extended to the peak. The soundtrack of Rocky is one of the most well known in the history of film, with the song Eye of the Tiger most recognisable for being from the Rocky film. The score of the music was done by Bill Conti on a budget of $25,000. In the most important and influential scenes in this film, the music composed adds such a dynamic layer to this sporting film because of the nature of this film being sport-based and furthermore, boxing, a hard-hitting contact sport, and the storyline being a rag-to-riches story. Conti had to merge these two ideas and compose a soundtrack which could reflect such a story.
And it was a $25,000 package deal. You pay for everything, the musicians, the music, the tape, the engineer, and then you get the
whatever's
rest.
left.
Well, remember, on Harry and Tonto, I got $7,500. So my agent asked for $8,000 on Rocky, and they said, well, it's a package deal. So I took the package deal, and I made $15,000 because in one 3-hour session, we recorded the score to Rocky. Over on McCadden Place, what was the name of Army's studio? Yeah, walked up. My wife is a secretary at KSJ. I say, do you know anyone that sings there? Does anybody in the office sing? Yeah, there's a couple of people. Bring them over. Gonna fly now. It's my wife and the people at KHJ who are singing on the tape.
He did this with such numbers as Gotta Fly Now and Going the Distance or Final Bell. These tracks make up the all-important moments in the Rocky film and keeps the audience engaged but gives you that motivational or goosebump feeling that makes you want to go run a marathon or pursue your greatest aspiration like Rocky does in this film. In conclusion, Rocky reflects mostly everything good that could have come out of the American society in the 70s. Away from overall success of the films and awards, the impact on society this film has had gave the audience a reason to believe in themselves again. The motivational soundtrack and rag director story was relatable to the audience along with Stallone's own life and background. This can be seen as a connection between the story and the audience, again relating to the cultural impact of the 70s and the effect it had then and still has now.